Hey, what's going on, you guys? Doug here. So, as you all may know, if you're here in the States, movie theaters are closed. AMC, Century Theaters, Regal, the list goes on and on. Right now, theaters such as AMC are having disputes with studios who are releasing movies via streaming. Now, I know I'm a hypocrite. I'll admit I'll take an L on this one. I remember for the longest time I've been saying, movies are meant to be watched in theaters, but I mean, there's no theaters right now. They're closed. So how else am I going to get access to these movies? Because I've been wanting to see the new Scooby-Doo movie because I'm a big Hanna-Barbera fan. I'll get to that later. But over the weekend, I saw the new Scooby-Doo movie, Scoob. Now, if we take away some of the nostalgia, if I can remove my nostalgic glasses real quick, the movie wasn't bad, but it could have been great. From my understanding, this is supposed to be like the launch of the new Hanna-Barbera cinematic universe, which is awesome, in terms of, animated nostalgia. But as a movie, it just kind of relied on that and not really focusing on the Scooby-Doo aspect, which is, mystery. Now, if you're like me and grew up in the 90s, you would know that Cartoon Network was like the haven for all those old school cartoons that our parents grew up with and you watched as reruns, such as, Looney Tunes, Tom and Jerry, and even the Hanna-Barbera cartoons, like the Flintstones, the Jetsons, Scooby-Doo, who else? Jabberjaw, Banana Splits, even Josie and the Pussycats. Hey, true story about Josie and the Pussycats. Did you know that I wasn't even allowed to say the full title? No, it's crazy because my mom would come in the room and be like, "What are you watching?" I'll be like, "Josie and the cartoons." Which reminds me, speaking of Josie and the Pussycats, for those who don't know, I love Hollywood trivia. And did you know that Valerie, the black member of Josie and the Pussycats, was originally going to be white? Here's the thing. Hanna-Barbera, they didn't want, a black character. They wanted the team to be entirely white. But then one of the producers, Danny Jansen, he put his foot down. He vouched for Valerie. He said, nah. He was like, if you guys want a white character, then I'll step off. And to this day, Valerie is the first black character to appear in a Saturday morning cartoon. That's awesome. Shout out to Danny Jansen. And after hearing that story, it does peg the question, were Hanna-Barbera racist? And trust me, this isn't that kind of video, because I know y'all love to flash on me, whether on social media or my emails or DMs or even on the comments. Duh, you always bring everything about race. Everything about race. Just stop that black power talk. Like, man, shut up. I'm just trying to ask a question. Like, think about it. Because there were no blacks in the Flintstones, nor were there blacks in the Jetsons. Like, okay, we can't be in the past nor the future? Now, I'm an avid comic reader, and earlier this year I came across that DC meets Hanna-Barbera line. Now, with this line, I love that the comics kind of refreshed my memory of some of those characters. Like, oh yeah, I remember him. I remember that character. Lo and behold, guys, it's actually pretty entertaining. I'm like, wow. See, what they did was they took some of that nostalgic factor that of all the cartoons that we grew up with, and they put little twists on them to align with, the DC heroes, such as, Top Cat and Superman. Who else? Flash and Speed Buggy, Black Lightning and Hong Kong Phooey, and my favorite one, Deathstroke meets Yogi. Now that one was awesome. If you guys haven't checked that out, make sure you go read it. Just on the topic of Yogi, I hate that his movie was the last live action movie. Since childhood, man, I've been waiting for a Jetsons movie. I mean, it was heavily rumored that Kanye was brought on as a creative director and that Robert Rodriguez, who directed Sin City, Spy Kids, and Alita, was going to direct the movie. Kanye is actually a big fan of Jetsons. If you've seen the Heartless video, you know what I'm talking about. But right now, Kanye is just on some other shit. So, and they're actually making an animated Jetsons movie with Conrad Vernon, who directed and helped write Sausage Party with Seth Rogen. Now, before y'all start typing in the comments, yes, I know that there was a Jetsons movie. It was animated. It came out when I was born. But I'm talking about in the sense of a live-action movie. I mean, technology is so advanced now. I mean, have you seen the visual effects in these films nowadays? And not to discredit the Yogi movie, because I fucks with Yogi. I fucks with all the Hanna-Barbera properties. Supposedly, James Gunn, who directed the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, he said after he did Scooby-Doo 1 and 2, as you know, he wrote and directed those movies, he was originally pitched Jabberjaw, Top Cat, and a slew of other Hanna-Barbera characters, but he went on to help write Dawn of the Dead with Zack Snyder. He said he kind of regrets it, but then he knows that if he hadn't done Dawn of the Dead, we wouldn't get Guardians of the Galaxy and all the opportunities that came with it. So everything happens for a reason, I guess. And if you think about it, all the Hanna-Barbera shows had recycled plots. Like, for every Scooby-Doo, there was Josie and the Pussycats, Jabberjaw, Speed Buggy, and for every Flintstones, there was either the Jetsons or the Beverly Hillberries or the Hillbilly Bears or whatever. And for every Yogi, there was, Huckleberry Hound, Quick Draw McGraw, Peter Potamus, Snagglepuss, Wally Gator, Magilla Gorilla, Secret Squirrel, that fucking octopus who I can't think of right now. And low key, I think Seth MacFarlane is following in Hanna-Barbera's footsteps as well, because all his shows are kind of the same. For every Family Guy, there's American Dad, a Cleveland Show. Well, not really the Orville. Well, one can argue the Orville, but even though it's kind of like a parody of Star Trek. And here's another fun fact. I didn't know this until I got older, that Dexter, Powerpuff Girls, and Johnny Bravo were all produced by Hanna-Barbera. Which makes sense, because I remember growing up, there was a little Hanna-Barbera logo at the end, but I didn't think nothing of it. I just thought, okay, it's just Cartoon Network produced. I'm like, nah, they were under the Hanna-Barbera production studio. So, okay, I guess Dexter is part of the Hanna-Barbera family. Hanna-Barbera has been a part of everyone's childhood, from my parents on down. I just think they're kind of underrated, and I feel like Warner Brothers, since they supposedly, the rumor is that some of these Hanna-Barbera characters are going to appear in Space Jam 2, Space Jam: A New Legacy. That's just a rumor, because they already have talking about the villains are going to be like DC villains and like Pennywise and The Mask from Jim Carrey and Jason and Freddy Krueger. Warner Brothers own villains. Within their IPs basically. So that'll be interesting to see, because Scooby and Shaggy did make an appearance in Looney Tunes Back in Action. Alright, so with all that being said, I still mess with Hanna-Barbera. I love their properties, whether it be the movies, the cartoons. I'll tell you what, my favorite theme song to this day is still Josie and the Pussycats theme song. I mean, it's just very upbeat, very 70s, that soulful vibe. It was just awesome. Like, you can't go wrong with the Hanna-Barbera lore. In conclusion, I still love the Hanna-Barbera universe, and I feel like they're very underrated, and the property should be taken seriously by Warner Brothers. With all that being said, how do you guys feel about it? Did you guys see Scoob? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you like the video, share the video, subscribe, follow me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram. My Cash App is on the description below. And like always, y'all, deuces.